Hi, I'm Kelly, and I just wanted to record what's going on with me going into this phone call with Heidi. We agreed to share our process going into this. So today is the 14th. It's almost a week after the election, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions and experiences since Donald Trump got elected, which for someone like me and in the community that I'm living in has been a devastating experience. The day after the election was surreal, and it was horrible. People around here were, including myself, were walking around like someone had died. Someone very important had died. And I mean, people would just spontaneously start crying when they talk to each other. There was a real experience of hopelessness and anger and fear. And I feel like, I know I'm not exactly down in the depths of that currently, but that day, I, on Facebook, told a Trump supporter to fuck off. I told friends who had glibly voted for a third-party candidate off. I started making comments that referenced friends and family who had voted for him. It was not my finest day. And I reeled it back in when I was able to just get a handle on my experience. So Heidi had posted her blog post entitled "I'm Not a Hater," and I remember seeing it and kind of having this inward contraction, but also what I was getting clear about, and have been clear about for a while now, is that the only way forward is to start listening to each other with an open heart. Because I'd been noticing for a long time that we get stopped when we're talking to someone who doesn't believe or think the same way that we do. We get stopped at the level of issues, and we can't get beyond that. Are you pro-choice or pro-life? Are you for gay marriage or for marriages between a man or a woman, and so on and so forth? There's no getting beyond that. So I intentionally read her post and really tried to take in what she had written. And I sat with it for a day because I had a lot of reactions to it. And I didn't want to respond from the level of issues, from the surface level of issues, because that doesn't get anywhere. And I don't want to do that anymore. And so our interaction led to this agreement that we both feel like this is really important to learn how to listen to each other with an open heart. And it's really hard. And my intentions are there, and yet I watch myself contract and expand even with that intention, because it's really the hate that's coming out as a result of this election is horrifying. The reports of violence against people of color and gay people and women, I mean, not everyone's like that, but the people that hold that hate in their heart are emboldened by this election. And I'm surrounded by a community of people that are horrified by that. And there are friends of mine who keep posting that people who voted for Trump are complicit in supporting racism. And I can see where they're coming from. You know, there's like, it's a really difficult and complex issue. And I think, and I know it's not easy to hold complexity. It requires the ability to hold complexity, to accept that someone who voted for Trump can be someone who's motivated by love and not fear and hate. That feels very complex from the city, from my experience of being surrounded by progressives who absolutely feel that supporting the disenfranchised, people of color, gay, transgender, women, is so very important. So what I go into this call feeling is just what feels like an almost impossible task of expanding my capacity to hold complexity and encouraging others to do so as well. Because I've got judgments, you know. I'm not a religious person, and I feel like I have judgments about how religious belief feels very limiting. I don't know. I don't understand how someone can choose to believe a doctrine that is discriminatory. And it feels edgy to say that, because I've never said those words to Heidi, you know. And it's judgmental. And that's also complex, because I don't want to be judged. So why am I judging? And it's really hard to shake. It's hard to shake that place in me that believes I'm right, you know? And I was just meeting with a group of women yesterday, all of whom were in deep mourning about this election. And I was bringing up the topic of complexity. Like, we have got to strive to hold that place of complexity where we stop just painting with a broad brush about, you voted for Trump, you're bad. Your priorities are in the wrong place. We got to stop doing that. But it was interesting to see around the table how my women friends, who I really trust their hearts and I trust their capacity for being open, how a few of them were just like, I get it, and yet still underneath, I think I'm right and they're wrong. And it's so fascinating because I can't, I suspect that's the same in Heidi's community and communities across the country who voted for Trump. And so I'm just back to the topic of like, and there we stop at surface issues, surface manifestations of our core values, how we achieve the fulfillment of our core values. And what are my core values? Love, inclusion, expansiveness, safety, feeling like I have enough so that I don't have to worry about survival. And when I connect to those core values, I absolutely know that Heidi and everyone in her community and people who voted for Trump probably have similar core values as well. And just work to achieve them through ways that are different than my strategies. So my hopes for starting this process with Heidi is to, in some small way, I don't know that it's going to be effective, but I've got to do something because my heart is breaking. Some small way of creating connections between people who do not know how to connect anymore. Who maybe have even lost the desire to try. And my fears are that it's impossible and that I don't even know if I have the capacity to do so. I have the intention, but because it feels so impossible, I don't know if I have what it takes, but I want to try.